Hello and welcome to Ascendant Hope, a program that will bring you stories of hope and resilience and faith in God. And we come to you just to encourage you that irrespective of where you are today, God has got you, God is concerned about you, God says He will never leave you nor forsake you. And as we gather today, we just want you to listen to us once more so that you can be able to get built, get strengthened, and encouraged by the Lord. My name is Christine Kamau, and I'm here with my lovely co-host,
Eva Njoroge. It's a pleasure being with you here again, Christine. And we have a guest with us today, viewers. As we have promised before, we'll continue to bring guests who will share their stories so that they can build you. And as you listen to them, we believe that you are continuing to have life from this program. So today we have Marthastella Njoroge, and she has honored us with her presence. Martha, we just want you to introduce yourself, tell our viewers who you are, and so that we can pick up from there.
Thank you, Eva. I'm Marthastella Njoroge, a teacher by profession and a mother of two. And I'm here because of God, who has walked with me and kept me this far. I am a cancer survivor. This is the 13th year, to the glory and honor of God. Amen. It has been a long journey.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, welcome. I think she's already started us off with, and that is very beautiful. That declaration, 13 years in remission, is something to thank God for. And I'm sure viewers listening out there would be interested to know what has the journey been like. So I think Marthastella will just get into it and just hear from you. Probably when did this start, the journey? When did you discover you had cancer? And then we go on from there.
It was back in 2008 when I got my second born, and I had a lump on my left breast. So I felt it, but nothing came to my mind then. So after a while, I told my husband about it. So he persistently told me to go to the hospital. And to shut him, I asked him, so now that you want me to go to the hospital, what if I'm told I have cancer? What will you do? So he told me, I will not tell you to go to the hospital again. So I stayed, I got my son. In 2011, that is when I went to the hospital. But I didn't go because of the lump on my left breast, but I had a lump on my jaw. So I went to the hospital. The doctor treated me, and I told him I have two. One is on my jaw, and I have another one on my breast. So when I told him, he looked surprised. So I was like, what is wrong with that? He told me I cannot treat that. I'll just refer you to KNH so that you can go for further treatment. I asked him why KNH and you have just treated this one. He told me just go to KNH. So he just put down a refer letter and gave it to me. He gave me the drugs. I went home. It was on a Sunday. So when I went home, at the back of my mind, I had refer KNH. KNH to me was the end thing, you know. They have worked on it, and now he cannot, but he has not tried a bit.
So you didn't feel like...
So I got worried. Yes. Why he changed so quickly and just put his hands off me.
Okay, before we get to KNH, how long was that after the discovery of the lump the first time?
That was like 3 years, because it was from 2008 to 2011. So...
Oh, you stayed for those 3 years?
Yes.
With that you have a lump?
I had the lump.
But you have not seen a doctor?
I could feel it.
But you had not seen a doctor?
I had not seen the doctor. I had maybe some fear, or it was not painful, by the way. So it was not bothering me. It is not painful, so why should I go to the doctor? So what made me talk about it is the lump that I had on my jaw. Okay. So I could not open my mouth, I could not eat. I went to the hospital.
So the one on the jaw
Yes, was painful, and that is why I had gone to the hospital. So it was a by the way.
Okay.
It was not that I had decided to go to the hospital for it. It was a by the way. Now that you have treated these, you can also go ahead and work on this other one. But it was increasing in size. So between 2008 and 2011, it had grown bigger. But nothing to worry about. I was not bothered, by the way. Yeah.
So what happens? You get a referral, you go to KNH.
I go back home.
You go
So
back
when I went home, I called my small sister. I told her I'm from the hospital, but I have a refer to KNH. So she was surprised. You didn't tell me you're sick. Now you're talking of refer. So what do? I was like, I'll think about it. But she called me again and told me, wake up tomorrow early in the morning, go to the hospital, but don't go to KNH. Look for another facility where you will not take longer there, because I know you're fearing because of taking long there. So I woke up, prepared myself, I went to the hospital. When I went and saw the doctor told me to go to the lab so that they could get a biopsy to make tests. When I went to the lab, the moment they took the first biopsy, my hand started aching. It became numb. I couldn't feel it. So I was like, so this is not what I thought it is. How come it has just reacted immediately? So the doctor told me, at the lab, you go give us a week. It was on a Monday. Come back on Friday. So I asked him, for 5 days, what will you be doing? Those are so many days to wait for some results.
Probably it's anxiety, or?
I think it was just, I just needed something to happen. Very fast, I finished up with this hospital thing. So he told me, it's going to take a while, so just come on Friday. I went back home, but not happy, because I needed something. I needed results to show that I was from the hospital, and this is what they've said. So when I went home, now the hand became numb. I couldn't feel it. It was not painful, but I could feel something is not okay. And I had some other now, like 3-4 lumps on the same hand. So the lymph nodes also swelled, so I could feel...
So was that a reaction after the biopsy?
After,
or did you have them?
No.
Before? So
I
that
did.
Happened after the...
After the doctors took off the sample.
Okay.
So they came up, very many of them. So I became fearful. I didn't tell anybody about now the other 3. So I waited for Friday, I went back. When I went direct to the lab so that they could give me my results, I go home. But I told them I have some other 3 lumps. So they told me, your results are not out. We need to take some more samples because the sample that we took was not enough. I became mad and furious. I asked them, you took long. Why didn't you call me like on Wednesday to come and bring some more samples? You just waited for me to come for the results, then you tell me to wait a bit longer.
So you're anxious.
So why all these? They told me the better, because now we are going to take even the samples from the lymph nodes. I was calm but not satisfied.
So what are you thinking at that time? How are you processing this? Are you even having the suspicion this could be cancer or anything?
I'm going back to a statement that I told my husband.
Yes.
So when I'm told I have cancer, what will you do? So at the back of my mind, cancer is in my mind.
But you're kind of in denial?
I just can't accept that. Now I said, what if it is? What will we do? So they took the samples and told me to come on a Wednesday. I went there very early in the morning. By 8, I was there. Give me my results. They were like, we can't give you your results. I have to take them to the doctor who sent you so that he can give you the results. There was like a tray there. So as he was looking for my name, the only word I saw was carcinoma. So I told myself, cancer and carcinoma, they are related, yeah? So me, I had already gotten my results because now he didn't know I saw. He put it in an envelope and walked briskly to the doctor. So he was moving very fast. I couldn't keep up his pace. By the time I was getting to the doctor had received the envelope and opened and had read. So by the time I was getting in, he looked at me. Okay, Marthastella, how are you? I was like, I'm not okay. I need my results. I didn't even sit down. He told me, Marthastella, do you know you have breast cancer?
Straight out.
Hey, standing. I was standing at the entrance. Let me tell you the words I told that doctor. He will never forget. I screamed. I told me, you're not fair. Why don't you just allow me to have a seat?
So the shock of now beginning to process what has just happened.
Even cancel. I told him, give me my results. So he was shocked. What did I do? Give me my results. So he had nothing else to tell me and tell me what I'm supposed to do with them. He told me, he handed me the results, told me to go to the reception. So the next thing I asked him, I lost even direction. I couldn't even know where the reception was. The only place I could know where I was the entrance and the doctor seated there. So I took my results. I leaned on the wall. I cried, holding the results. I took my phone. My sister now had called severally, but I couldn't pick up her phone. I could not respond because now what am I going to tell her? She called, persistent for like 20 times. So that is when I cried, leaning on the wall. I saw a cleaner passing by. I asked him, where is the reception? He looked at me and pointed at the reception. Where I was standing, the reception was just directly opposite me. I took it. I gave the receptionist to book a clinic. Because in that facility, the doctor comes once on Friday.
Private, public?
Private. Okay. So they booked me for a clinic on Friday now and gave me the time. I'm still hearing, my sister was still calling. So I took my results. I took the letter that I had been given for the appointment. There was a garden outside the hospital. I went and sat there. I cried for 2 hours. Then I remembered my sister was calling me. I took my phone. Mimi nilisema, I'll give her the dose that I was given. So she calls me. Shiro, how are you? I'm not well. So now I was easy. I had cried. I was now calm. What did the doctor say? I have cancer. That is what I told my sister. So I left her on the other side crying and I cut my phone. So I was like, now what next?
So let me ask you, Marthastella. Yeah. At that point in time, I know you've talked about, of course, the results are very shocking. You're beginning to accept them because, you have them in your hands. And I'm just wondering, at that time, what was going on in your mind, in your heart? Were you praying? Were you talking to God? What were you doing at that point in time? Or is this just crying? Why me? I think maybe you can take us through that moment.
At that time, I just asked God, why me? Then what came to my mind was my children, because they were very young. So what will they do? What will happen of me? At this time, we had separated with my husband. So I was living with my children. So what came to me was death and leaving my children. So when I cried and now I was calm, that is when I remembered, oh, there is God. So that is when I prayed. I just told God, give me the strength to carry on. You have a reason for this. And the answer, I also answered my question, why me? Because I told myself, if I was asked to produce somebody who would carry this, whom will I give out? So I told myself, even my worst enemy, I cannot wish this for him or her. So I'll carry this through. Whatever the doctor will tell me, I'll do it without turning back. So that is what I did.
So this is diagnosis. You've gone through, of course, the initial shock. It sounds like it really threw you back. As much as you're saying at the back of your mind you thought cancer, I think one would never be prepared before, because clearly it threw you off. Now you've gone back to family, you've notified your sister, and I guess, of course, eventually the whole family. I think before even we go to the treatment and so forth, what was the initial reaction of the family? How do they get to respond to this? Does it in any way affect even the people around you at that point, and how?
After the call that I gave my sister, I think she was able to absorb faster than I did. So she called me back after like 10-15 minutes and asked me, where are you? Will you be able to come to town? I told her, I'm okay. I'll come. Don't come. But don't tell anybody about this. And I was specific, don't tell mom. So she was like, why? I told her, wait until I get to town, then we can talk. She didn't promise not to tell anybody. So she told me, when you're done with the hospital, call me. I'll be waiting for you at the bus stop. My shock was when I alighted, I got everybody waiting for me. Wow. My mother, my brothers, my sisters, and they were all crying. So when I alighted, I called my sister and asked her, why did you do this? I told you not to tell them. Now everybody is crying. I'm the only one who is not crying. So the question was, why are you crying? You know now,
yes.
Why are you crying? They were like, I'm well. That is what I told them. So we walked to a certain restaurant. I gave them the results. My mom was hard hit. She couldn't eat for the next 2 weeks. She couldn't believe this. But my sisters and my brothers stood with me.
So I look at that now and I'm thinking, you're in an environment where your family is devastated. Thankfully, at least your siblings are handling it better. And you are here. You are the one who is carrying the cancer. And you said, you told God, I will follow every instruction. And you said, I want to live for my children, right? So what can you help us? Because this is a situation that cannot be easy to process. How do you then gather the strength and the courage to say, now I'm kickstarting the treatment and I'm going to follow every instruction? Because I think that is something we want to draw from. How do you gather the strength, the courage to tell them, okay, you're all devastated, you think this is done, but I'm not done? I'm really interested in that part. Yeah.
When we sat down and looked at the timelines, I was supposed to go back on Friday, go see the doctor. So we could not go on with anything else before I see the doctor for the way forward. So we waited for Friday. I woke up, went to the doctor. But when I got there, the doctor told me I should wait for 2 weeks because there were some people who had been booked earlier before me. So I told for treatment in the same facility. So I asked him, can you give me a refer? There's a lady I found there. She told me, if you want this to move faster, ask for a refer to KNH. So when I got to the doctor,
So now from this private hospital back to
KNH. So when I saw the doctor and he told me that is what I'll have to wait for 2 weeks, I asked for a refer to Kenyatta National Hospital. but I didn't know what was ahead of me. When I got the refer, I called my brother. My brother told me, bring me that refer letter. There's someone who will guide us on what to do. I left the hospital and went direct to KNH. So we met at KNH with them, my mom, my siblings. We went to the doctor. The doctor was a friend to my mom. So he told me, there's a very, very long queue ahead of you. And the results are, it was first stage. And if you want to live, we must do this in a week's time. You have to go for the surgery. So I will book you. So I was like, surgery, booking me, you know, they are just piling up, so many things happening at the same time.
Yes.
So he told me, follow me. We go and book you. At the office, there was a register. We were in May 2011. At the register where my name was to be written, the dates were 2013, June.
That's almost like 2 years.
So that is when I was supposed to get my surgery. So I was like, this is the earlier you're talking about. But I I was just below a small boy, a boy who was like 12 years. So I asked him, how about this small boy? He told me, it is not about him, it is about you, don't mind. So I asked him, am I going to wait for that long? And you're telling me I just need a week. He told me, I can slot you for Friday. He slotted me in, we made some arrangements with him. I went home. When I went home, after the first time I got the results, I cried. This is the week. I cried for 2 weeks. So even when I'm going for this with my sisters and my brothers, I was trying to be, strong. Wow. But when I go back home, that is when I would crash and cry the whole night. If I'm going nowhere, I would cry day and night for 2 weeks. So when I went back home, the only thing that was on my mind was that now, I just forgot about me. I remembered that small boy who will wait up to 13th June 2013. So I was like, am I being fair? No, this cannot happen. How about this young boy? He's just too little to die, I cried at around 2 a.m. I called my brother. I told him, I'm not going to KNH. Go and tell the doctor to slot in that small boy for Friday.
Look at that.
I won't.
You are ready to sacrifice your...
that small boy. Yes. I am a teacher. I could see that small young soul,
And I guess it's not just being a teacher. It's
I just could not, why it was not fair. Yeah. That to me, I was like, even if I'm crying to God, maybe I won't get healed because of this small soul. Why shouldn't I just allow him to go ahead? So,
and sorry to cut you short, I'm just remembering what we've been talking about, Christine, about honoring the process when God is taking you through something. Right. And I remember one time we said there's always the temptation to look for solutions elsewhere, look for a shortcut. And I like the fact that she sits back and asks, is this the right way? Right, yeah. Even though it looks promising, is it the right way? And I think it's something really to appreciate, that I can honor the process, even though I'm going through pain, and I can also think about others. So take us through, then what happens after that?
So when I called my brother, you see, he was from deep sleep. He asked me, what have you said? Now he was trying to digest and let that sink. Yes, call doctor and tell him to slot in that small boy. I'm not going to KNH. So what do you want? My sister had called and had referred me to another doctor. I told him, we are going to look for another opinion. Let us not take this that faster. So let us become and follow the due process. So he woke up and called me. Are you sure this is what you want? Yes. And if he doesn't believe you, tell him to call me. And tell him to remember that boy and call him to come for the surgery and not me. So that is how I finished the journey in KNH. I never went to KNH again. So I opted for another doctor who I went to that same day. He took me through the counseling, the process, and that is where I started my treatment. But by then, in these 2 weeks as I was crying, I woke up one day and told God, just give me, just like, I think it is Hezekiah, who really cried and told God, just give me 15 more years. That is what I woke up. That is what came to my mind. Just give me, remember only one good thing I have done for a little soul and save my soul. Save me from this. Let me live. Give me 15 years. Not for me, but to bring up this young boy. My son then was 2 years and a half. So every time he could sleep there, I would cry, knowing that I don't know what tomorrow holds for him. And that is what I told God. Just give me 15 years so that I see this young boy grow to a young man. And when you heal me, I will work and touch lives. Because that is the promise that I have for you. So when I woke up and said, I will follow every due process. Whatever the doctor tells me, I will do. And that is what I did. I went to the doctor. He told me, now, one thing is, you have to go for a surgery, for a mastectomy. Are you ready? I told him, even if we do it now, I am okay. I'm ready. Whatever you tell me, I will do it. Because if that is what I had told God, I'll follow the process. I'll go through the treatment, no matter how harsh it will be, but I'll stand strong so that when I wake up from this, I will stand not being a victim, but a victor. I will stand and tell people that cancer is not a death warrant, that we can live to testify the goodness of the Lord. So I went through the treatment. That is when I started the treatment. This was like at the end of now May, because it was when I got everything, the results, it was like mid-May. So after 2 weeks, I had started the process. Little did I know what was lying ahead of me was worse than what had gone through. So,
sorry, before you continue, I like what you have said, the fact that just coming to a place of complete confidence in God. The Bible talks about, I have put my hope and trust in the Lord. God. And there's also a scripture where David in Psalms was talking about, commit your way to the Lord and trust also that he will do it. So just that aspect of, yes, I'm committing this situation into the hands of God, but I also have faith and confidence that God, you are on my side. And I like the way you're already looking into the future and talking about, I'll be able to tell people that cancer is not a death sentence. I'll be able, God, to serve you. I'll be able to, and I know sometimes as humans, we are very quick to make promises to God. Yeah. And sometimes I've seen situations where you find somebody's going up through a very difficult time. And at that point in time, they'll tell God, God, if you rescue me, I'll serve you forever. And somebody is really out to, they say big words to God. But after that, that person just goes back. If God rescued them from an accident and they were drunkards, you find that they go back to drinking. And I like that you told God that. And I believe that's why we have you here. I believe that's why we have you here today. That you are able to journey with God and tell God that I will speak of your wondrous works. Yes. If you deliver me from this. Yes. So that's really beautiful. Yeah, go ahead. So you're saying something happened after that? Something was?
The treatment.
So it is the treatment.
Yes.
I was to go for mastectomy, and Dr. told me, before we go for the mastectomy, I'll have to remove the lump. So that now my hand was still numb. So that now I could feel much better. So the first day I went to see him, that is what he did. Are you ready for me to remove the lump. I told him, yes, can we do it now? He was like, why are you so confident? Because I want to heal and testify of the goodness of God. Do it. So he removed it. It was this big. It was like 6 inch. It looked like a small potato. So he showed it to me and told me, this is what was in you. So he was to use that for other tests. And he gave me a week to heal. So I asked him, why should I heal? And yet I'm going to go for a surgery. He told me, don't worry, everything is well. After I've removed this, we have started the process. And you will feel the change. So after it was removed, my hand became normal again. I could feel even my hands, because I could not feel the blood was like, yes. So after a week, I went for dressing daily. After a week, I was healed. That is when the doctor told me I wanted to test your healing process. So now you're ready for the surgery. You will make it.
Or like to see how long
to determine how long I'll take for after the surgery. So I went for the surgery, and the day that I was going for the surgery, all my siblings and my parents was there. But all through, my dad was scared that he never wanted to see me. By the way, I didn't see him for those 2 weeks, because he was saying, I cannot stand this. So he never came at any one time to the hospital with me, not because he did not want, but he could not stand. No, he could not digest. How is she, So he he backed away. So when I was going for the surgery, the doctor had booked somewhere else. A different hospital. So when I went, my surgery was supposed to take place from 10. When I got there, we had emergencies. So we stayed from 10 to around 1 for another past 2 people to go for the surgery before me. So when we were just at the waiting room, now the nurse came and asked, who amongst you is going in for the surgery? Is it you, ma'am? My mom was quite worried. So they were like, no, it is her. She was like, how now? She's the one giving you stories, and the one who is supposed to be giving her stories is much worried than
Yeah.
So I went in for the surgery. It took like 3 hours. When I came out of the room, the first thing when I recovered, I called out my mom. That is when mom got now, I'll leave, because now her worry was, will she come out of the surgery? So when I came out, I stayed for like 30 minutes. I regained consciousness, and the first person I called out was my mom. So I asked her, where is mom? She came and told me, are you okay? So I could not process what she was saying, but I could hear what she was saying. I could not respond. My mom refused to go home after the surgery. She said she's going to stay there with me because the doctor said I must have somebody that night with me. Mom volunteered to be with me. She said she won't go home. I'll be there with her. So my siblings were like, Mom, we are all here. Why you? So they tried to negotiate with her. She was like, no, I'm staying with her till tomorrow. Then after that, I'll be okay. It took a lot of time to convince her to go home, because she left the hospital at around midnight. That is when she went home. I went through the process. I was supposed to heal, then go for chemo. So I stayed for a month. When I was fully healed, I started my chemo.
Okay, before we go to the chemo, Christine, I'm looking at her talking about waiting outside the theater. and telling stories to an extent that the nurses can't tell who is waiting for surgery. And I think I'm looking at what she said earlier. I had a chat with God, a conversation with God, and I told God I will follow every step that is required of me. And the confession that after this I'm looking to testify. And I believe it's not being reckless, not sitting there and pretending I don't know what is happening. But I see an element of faith that I've entrusted this to God. And therefore I can go in trusting that He will go in with me. You know. And that confidence does not come from I'm surrounded by people. I'm surrounded by good doctors, or I'm waiting to go in and have good doctors work on me. But in that case, you're looking at who is it that I've entrusted my process to, which is very important.
I agree with you, because if there's physical evidence to support, then it's easiest to be faith. It's not faith.
Exactly.
It's not faith in God.
Yes.
It is. I got this. The doctors have got this.
Yes.
The medication I'm taking is top notch.
Yes.
Then that is not faith. Faith is a substance of things that we hope for, even when they are not seen.
Yes.
So it means like even when things are not working out, you can still be able to say, I'm in a bad situation. Even the doctors probably they don't even look like they know what they are doing, but I trust you, God.
Yes.
I still confess that I will see the goodness of
the Lord,
the land
of the living.
Yes,
exactly.
So that was faith. Yeah.
All right.
For the 2 weeks that I cried, when I woke up, we had a conversation with God. I will go through this because I know you're with me. Whatever the doctors will tell me, you will be using them. I will follow to the dot. So whenever I was going through all these processes, the conversation was still with me. It was working with me. I never cried again. Not a single day. I told myself, I'll face this because I am not alone. I'll go through this. But now, I didn't know what was ahead of me. So, though I had confessed and said, I will go through this, whatever the case, I never knew how it was going to be. But still, I trusted in God that even if I walk through the fire, I will come out of it stronger than I was. So, when I was going for my routine checkup and after the surgery, the doctor used to tell me about chemo. And you know, chemo is not something that you can tell somebody about and that person to understand unless you go through it. So he used to tell me about chemo and how harsh it is, but he still told me, you're going to make it through. Many have been there, they have made it. You will also go and come out of it stronger and healed. So the doctor told me, he took me back to KNH. You're going to go for your chemo at Kenyatta. And also you're ready, because that is where you're going to get the best. He booked for me. And at the back of my mind, even if he used to tell me how chemo is, I used to check on how chemo, you know now the stories and chemo, I wanted to know more. So I used to go through some writings, some literature about chemo, but that did not hit me. So before, you know the way you prepare for a certain occasion, before I went for chemo, a weekend earlier, I made my hair. You know the way you prepare as if you are going for an occasion. I made my hair.
Yes.
Because I thought I'll just go, get admitted, administer the drugs, then I'll be well. I'll not bother anybody with my hair. Yeah. So I went for my hair was made, and it was well made. That the day I went to KNH, the nurse showed me, the nurse that welcomed me, she told me, Marthastella, you look good. I was like, now, and I am sick, you know how? She told me, you look good. Who made your hair? So that did not come to me where she was heading. it was on a Thursday. You used to go for clinic on Thursday. The doctor will give you a prescription. You either buy the drugs at KNH or outside, depending with what was there in the hospital. So I went that Thursday. I met this nurse. So she was like, "You look good." So when I went to the doctor looked at me and told me the same. But she called the nurse. She told the nurse, "I want you to talk to Marthastella. She has made her hair and it is looking good. What do you have to tell her?" Hey, the nurse told me, "You know what? You did your best. But there's one thing I want you to put into your mind. That tomorrow when you get your first dose of chemo, your hair might fall off." She didn't tell me it is going to fall off. She told me it might fall off. So I asked her, "So it is not a must? You can just have the drugs and my hair will remain?" The way she answered, I told myself, there is no certainty. So she told me, "You just go and come tomorrow. We are going to talk more. But just have that in your mind." When you come, we used to go then, they didn't have the beds. They never used to use the intravenous, the drip. Yeah? You used to go early in the morning, they would put a line where they would administer the drugs. They would prepare your drugs in a tray. Within 5 minutes, they are done.
Oh, really?
So you see the way we are seated?
They just push them in.
Yes. Okay. So you see the way we are seated? Yeah. We would sit like this. The doctor is on this side, I'm on this side. The tray is just next to the doctor, and there is like a small basin for you to vomit. Because the moment that drug gets into your body, you feel it. The body reacts immediately. So the first thing, you feel nausea, you vomit. So that was there, ready for you. So that is what happened. I took my drugs. The moment the doctor put the first, there were like six, they used to have 6 syringes for the drug, one for the water to clean up the system before, and another one to clean up the system after the drugs. So there were 8. Ulikuwa unaziangalia hivi, you saw it before you get them. The color of the drug would keep you off, because you see Petro Super, that is how the drug was looking. So the first thing, the first chemo they put, I would feel it going through my system. Then it was just a bad experience. So they put the doctor would do it without non-stop. 5 minutes were even more. Then you are let to go home. You go home and wait for the reactions at home. Let me tell you, that was on Friday. On Saturday, what the nurse told me came to my mind. The nurse told me that Friday, if I were you, I would go and remove those braids. Because one day you will make up and find them on your pillow, and that is the worst thing ever. So I went home and asked, I told my sister on Saturday morning, I want you to remove this. She was like, why? I used to have moods. So if I tell you, I was not patient. So if I told you something, I would, if you start maybe questioning, I would start crying. So when she told me, they are okay, I told her, I've told you, you remove them. If you don't want, I will do it myself. She was like, so she waited for me to calm down so that I could explain. I told her, the nurse told me that if I don't, I'll wake up and find them on my pillow. So to avoid that, let us remove them. She removed them. She asked me, are you going to the salon? But I'm okay. It is just a week. My hair is not dirty. So I'll just come and just do a ponytail. The following morning, I would hold my hair like this, and I would come up with a handful. Okay. That is on Sunday. Mm-hmm.
So it's that fast?
It is like...
It reacted that fast?
Yes.
Yes.
I was so sad. So I told my sister I want to go to the barber shop. So she could not understand. And you know the worst part of it, it just doesn't fall off the whole of it. It is bits. So you will be bald here, you have hair. So I didn't want the thinner. So I told her I want to go to the kinyozi. She told me, let us wait for your husband. He said he's coming to see you today. He will take you.
That time is when you're already separated?
Yes, but he had said he will come and see me. So she told me, wait for him to come. He will take you to the barber. So when he came, I told him, I want to take me to the kinyozi. I didn't even explain, I want you to take me to the kinyozi. Ate? Yes. So we went, me, him, and my son. My son was there to just confirm because he couldn't understand what was happening. So we went to the barber shop. My son sat next to me. He said he also wants to be shaved. The man I met there, I told him, I want you to cut my hair. He refused. He told me, are you sure? Why? So I was not patient. Mm-hmm. I told him, I've said, I've brought myself. Mm-hmm. So do whatever I'm paying you. You know, now I was like agitated, emotions.
What you're going through.
Yes, by the way, I think it was.
Yeah.
Because even when I got to a matatu, and they asked me if the conductor would ask for money, I would get mad. Mm-hmm. I would even talk and insult him. When I get out of the matatu, I would ask myself, so what was that for, you know? So I think it was related.
So let me ask, sorry, Christine. Yeah. There's this long story, you're going through the treatment and all that, and definitely there is some emotional, psychological issues you're dealing with because you're saying there are these emotional outbursts that you're not able to handle. What kind of support system is available to you at that time? Are there support groups? Is there counseling? How are you dealing with all that?
So when I went for my first chemo, I was introduced to a certain support group where we used to meet every Thursday. So after the first chemo, then the following Thursday, I attended one. When I went there, I was the youngest in that. So you find they will talk to you, they will give you about the journey they have gone through. They are still there. You would now, at least, you feel I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. There are those people who've been there. Mm-hmm. I will also be like them because they are healed, they are through with their treatment. They come to just support the people who are going through this. So used to go for support groups. Mm-hmm. So when I went to the barber, he cut off my hair. I did not know that it had a big effect on my son. Because later on, I stayed for like up to 2016 with short hair. So one day he asked me, Mom, why don't you plait your hair? I told him I'm okay. He told me I'm not okay. Now he was all grown, he was like 6 years. I'm not okay with these. So that is when it came back to me, that when we went with him, and he sat next to me as I was cutting my hair, it really hit him.
Was your son aware that you were unwell?
Yeah, he was, but he was very young. I think he didn't understand what was going on. So when I used to go for chemo and I had this effect, when I was vomiting, the moment he used to run, bring a karai and put it next to my bed. Then he would go to the kitchen and ask for oranges. He had my sister saying, if you feel like vomiting, just take some some oranges. So he would run to the kitchen and say, Mom is feeling bad, give her some oranges. He could bring them. So he went through the process, though he did not understand it fully.